This ancient wisdom is the fountain from which Masonry takes its rise. The true science of symbolism in time became lost. The temples of initiation fell into decay, or were destroyed by priests and potentates, jealous of their influence. For many weary centuries men have been trying to recover the lost key and to restore the ancient wisdom from the parables and allegories in which it had been concealed. But progress in this inverse order is not only necessarily slow and uncertain, but all such attempts have, more or less, given rise to fantastic flights of the imagination, and resulted in confusion, rather than in enlightenment. The result has been to bring the whole subject under contempt and to make the name mysticism mean something vague and uncertain, if not altogether foolish, to those ignorant of its true meaning. Remember, says Bro. Albert Pike, that the lessons and ceremonies of these degrees, those of the Blue Lodge, have been for ages more and more accommodating themselves, by curtailment and sinking into commonplace, to the often limited memory and capacity of the master and instructor, and to the intellect and needs of the pupil and initiate, that they have come to us from an age when symbols were used, not to reveal but to conceal, when the commonest learning was confined to a select few, and the simplest principles of morality seemed newly discovered truths, and that these antique and simple degrees now stand like the broken columns of a roofless, druidic temple in their mutilated greatness, in many parts also corrupted by time, and disfigured by modern editions and absurd interpretations. Morals and Dogma, p. 106. Here, then, are two causes that have operated to render the old wisdom difficult of recovery, viz., concealment, and ignorant alteration or misinterpretation. To these must be added a third source of obliteration, viz., the direct efforts of interested parties to utterly destroy all records. Let one only think of the thousands, and perhaps millions of manuscripts burnt, of monuments with their too indiscreet inscriptions and pictorial symbols pulverized to dust, of the bands of early hermits and ascetics statement that fully 800 different degrees have thus, from time to time, been introduced to the craft as Masonic. In no case does there exist any reliable consecutive history of these various movements. But even if such history existed, it would but little serve the purpose of the present work, as will be readily seen from what has heretofore been said regarding all these attempts to discover the lost word, by reading backward from the outer form of symbolism. Such a history would be curious and interesting, as showing the fertility of the human imagination, and its proneness to regard as valuable that which is curious and fantastic, because it is concealed. Mere vulgar curiosity and secrecy alone have never yet been the passwords to the editome of real initiation. On the other hand, such a history, did it really exist, would be tinged with a touch of pathos, on account of the many sorrowful disappointments it would have to record, in the case of earnest souls seeking, with sincerity and in truth, for the lost word of the Master, only to be overwhelmed at last by disappointment, or to be publicly executed as malefactors and enemies of state or church. Such histories as exist well deserve, in many cases, the designation of organized fiction, and almost invariably record merely the opinions of those who were friendly or unfriendly to such movements.